So what is this? I'm back on the next day? I am trying to kind of maybe do the 31 days of trans visibility. I'm just trying to get back into this stuff and back into talking about things. Yeah, and I feel like I haven't really talked about trans things, and I've been feeling a lot of things and going through a lot of things, and I need to process some of these things. That's a lot of things. Damn it. Anyway, let's jump in today. Talking about coming out. Are you out? Who did you come out to first? And how did people in your life react? I don't think I've ever actually talked about this, about coming out, who I've come out to, and how do I live in this world. Well, I'm going to start with where I am currently. I'm very much out. I am out and talking about trans things. I'm not the person that's like, hey, new person, this is my name. I'm a trans guy. I talk about my transness as with any other identities that I hold when like I bring it up in conversation if and when it's applicable, and because who I am and who I like how I exist in this world is an entirety of all of my identities. And it depends on that connection that I have with a person. I think I also have a lot of anxiety about like coming out to people that I haven't like quote unquote vetted a little bit, or I don't know how they may react. I think coming out to people is always a scary and dangerous thing, regardless of what their reaction actually is, or things. It can be scary and it can be nerve wracking. So I am out. I would actually want to talk about my journey of how I thought I was going to be out about my transness. And I think when I first started transition, when I first came out as trans, that appealed to me a lot. It was living stealthily. And I think a part of that was because I knew I wouldn't be able to come out to my parents or my family. And then just knowing that I wouldn't have to have that conversation, I wouldn't have to have that stress. And I think in that moment that outweighed the stress of, for myself, what the stress may be to live stealth. And I totally forgot that I'm the kind of person that likes to talk about things, and that I need to, and I like to document things, and I like to share stories. And so for me, living stealth would not have worked well, and it didn't. I think for me, I needed to feel like I had the option to live stealth in the beginning of my transition, but as I came into myself more, came into Thane more, and existing in this world that way, I realized that for me, stealth was not how I wanted to live, and be a point where people would be like, hey, there's a trans person, I can go talk to them and ask them questions, because I might be a trans person, or I'm trying to figure things out, or I'm starting to come out and that person is trans and has gone through this. Maybe I can come out to them first. And I think being that kind of point in society is important. It's important for me. And then that also means that like there is space for folks that need and want to live stealth. And I think when we want to talk about visibility doesn't mean that you're you're just there. I think there's hyper visibility. It does not equate safety, does not equate society being less shitty. So for me, I don't really know how to. I think it's a coming together and finding the balance between being trans and being out and having nuanced conversations and having complex spaces for myself to be out, for people who don't want to be out not to be out, for and how all of us fit together in that. But anyway, so I think the first person I came out to was my partner at that time. That was the first person I was like, I'm trans, and it was like just above a whisper. And then from there, it was close circle of friends, and then my workplace, I think the thing that I was very scared to come out to my partner, and she was amazing in that moment. And she was like, cool, how do you want to like move forward, and checked in with me about everything. um, and I think I was very blessed to have that partner in that moment, and that was what I needed, and I didn't even know that I needed that, and I think that's so important. um, and then I think the next thing that I was very worried and very scared about was coming out at work. I knew I worked with rad people. I knew I worked with like an amazing boss, but still coming out to your boss that was such a scary moment. And I remember the day, it was like in the middle of a rush, and I told my boss, and she was like, okay, and she was still waiting for this like big news, because I was like, I need to tell you something really important. And I was like, nope, that's it, I'm trans. She was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Gave me a hug, was like, we will definitely talk about names and talk about this. And for me, that was what I needed to hear. That was the kind of reaction that I needed in that moment. Um, Outside of friends and partners and things, I think the next big frontier is family, like coming out to family. And I had already done a whole like I'm coming out to my parents about sexuality, and that's a whole different conversation, and that did not go well. So for me, I put it off. I made plans, and I was like, how can I come out to my parents in a way that will be good for me and good for them. And I think also having years between, since like the first time I came out to them, and me learning and going through that pain and healing from that, and just learning a lot. And also I was able to grow within myself and have my own kind of security away from my family. um, I just made plans of like coming out to them, and I never did. I think my parents just like stumbled on my new Facebook, and heard about things, because when I had top surgery and I posted about things on Tumblr, and then I shared it to my Facebook, I forgot that my Tumblr was linked to my old Facebook, and then that went on my old Facebook. So I think I wasn't very like vigilant at keeping this from them. I think without knowing it, I just wanted them to stumble upon this part of my life, and they did, and I'm grateful for the way that happened. And I think there's a lot more conversations that we need to have, and we're definitely just at the beginning of that journey. And I think even myself talking about coming out to my family a year ago, I really couldn't talk about it. But now I can, and I'm excited for where that's going. I have no idea what that's going to look like. I have no idea how to come out to my brother and sister. So if you folks have siblings that are like 12 and 9 and have experience coming out to them, I would love to like talk to you, love to pick your brain over that. Um, but yeah, so overwhelmingly, coming out to people has gone well. I have also been very intentional with the people I come out with, come out to. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in for today. I'm really excited to be talking to you a little bit more. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts. And if you have any tips for me about coming out to 9 and 12-year-olds, I would really appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in, and be safe.